In the heart of Appalachia, where the mountains kiss the sky, I roam the ancient forests, where the wild things live and die. One day I met a ranger, wise with eyes of deepest gray. He saw my yearning spirit, and he had some words to say. He said, take this sword, young dreamer, forged in fires old and bright. It's a gift from ancient guardians to guide you through the night. With this blade you'll find your courage when the path is dark and long. In your hands it's not just metal, but the heart of nature's song. I grasped the hilt with reverence, felt the power in its weight. The steel was cold but comforting, like the touch of faded fate. He told me tales of rangers past who'd walked the trails unseen, protecting all that's wild and free in forests evergreen. He said, take this sword, young dreamer, forged in fires old and bright. It's a gift from ancient guardians to guide you through the night. With this blade you'll find your courage when the path is dark and long. In your hands it's not just metal, but the heart of nature's song. Through storms and battles, through shadows deep and wide, this sword will be your beacon, with the spirit as your guide. Feel the strength within the forest, hear the whispers in the wind. Let this gift remind you always where your true path does begin. Now I walk with newfound purpose, with the sword by my side, facing challenges with bravery, with the forest as my guide. In every swing there's history, in every clash a tale. With this ranger's sword I'll conquer, through each and every veil. He said, take this sword, young dreamer, forged in fires old and bright. It's a gift from ancient guardians to guide you through the night. With this blade you'll find your courage when the path is dark and long. In your hands it's not just metal, but the heart of nature's song. So here's to all the dreamers, to the ones who roam the land. May you find your own true courage, with the ranger's sword in hand. For in the heart of nature, where the wild spirits soar, he said, take this sword, young dreamer, forged in fires old and bright. It's a gift from ancient guardians to guide you through the night. With this blade you'll find your courage when the path is dark and long. In your hands it's not just metal, but the heart of nature's song. The heart of nature's song.
Okay, everyone. Hope everyone is having a wonderful day. I am checking my audio. Okay, looks like my audio is working have? That's not supposed to be up there. We're supposed to have the Let's Feed the Chickens logo. There we go. That looks like that is set up and everything is working well. So that should be good. Just trying to figure out make sure everything is doing what it is supposed to do, which it doesn't look like I'm having some technical issues again. It does happen from time to time. I don't know why I have technical issues from time to time, but it does happen. So let's get that handled. So we're going to talk about, I'm going to bring my cheat sheet with me, and we're going to talk about midlife crisis and all about that today, which should be a good day. One day, I will be able to get this stream functioning right when I want it to go, instead of always having to wait, always having to figure out why it takes forever to do what I want it to do. So let's go with we're going to go with Be Naked today. Guys, in today's society, it's tough to be a man in a world dominated by over-masculine liberal women. That's just not how it was meant to be. Everywhere we look, it's gender neutral, this product, that, or made for her, that product. That is why we at Rumble started a company that embodies the ethos of men's lives matter too, with products that aren't designed to be gender neutral or used by people with pronouns. Their products at Rumble are designed to be built for men, by men, period. Guys, so if you struggle with low energy, mood swings, hair loss, or if you need a performance better at the gym, maybe in bed, recover quicker, throw out those garbage supplements and try animal organs. Guys, they are traditionally the most nutrient-rich supplement on the planet. Guys, but their bison organs are a step above. Grass-fed, non-vaccinated bisons are a species where the weak are allowed to die and only the strong survive. Guys, so here's their commitment to you. For men who have a real confidence in their products, try this today. And if you don't like it, fine, return it for a refund. Guys, go to benaked.com and use the code STUDIO and get 15% off today. Commercial over. Cool. Got that in place. And we are going to go outside now. Let me, didn't hear chat do anything. I just want to make sure that, oh, there we go. I think I heard chat. We heard chat go. So chat should be good. I should be good. I don't know why the other places are not streaming the way they're supposed to. But so be life. No big deal at all. Let's go. Okay, got my Bluetooth. Let's grab my gloves and let's head on out to do what needs to be done. So we're going to feed the chicken. And I forgot my cheat sheet book. Let me find my, I'll figure out where I put it in here. I have two books. One has all the important things in it. The other one does not. You guys just get to peek off there into the abyss until I figure out where I put my... Maybe it's in my other book. Yeah, guys, it's called being properly prepared, which is something that I am absolutely not the best at. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So I was right with the first book. I just need to figure out where it is in this book. Beautiful day, guys. It's in the 70s today, which I am ecstatic about. Should not have closed my book. Should not have closed my book. Yeah, so it's very nice. I got some stuff we got to go work in the garden, which will be nice to do a little later. Oh, one more chance, guys. Otherwise, we're just going to have to wing it, which is not what I wanted to do because I actually prepared for this one, which I hate when I Here, found it. Awesome. 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 Don't have to wing it. Everything should be good. Everything should be wonderful. I don't know why all of a sudden a handful of people watching, but whatever. Okay, let's head on out. So you guys, let's before we head on over, let's check so I can verify the temperature with you guys, so you guys can see firsthand that the temperature is in the 70s. As you can see, it's a tad bit breezy, and we have it's kind of a gray sky. The clouds are moving. The clouds are zipping by pretty quickly, but a gray sky day. We are we had snow about 2 days ago on April 1st. It's not April Fool's. We actually had snow, and we've got some of my plants ready to bloom. So first thing I think we're going to do is we're going to get water from Miss Lisa. So let's we're going to get water from Miss Lisa. And so the first thing we're going to talk about is chasing. We're going to talk about the stereotypes. You know, you hear all these crazy stereotypes, like you know the men chasing the OnlyFans model, or they're buying, you know, that crazy Ferrari, or they're just acting silly. And a lot of times people are wondering, why would these men be so immature? And actually, it's not even just men. I've noticed that midlife crisis is got the water, guys. I noticed that midlife crisis is also something that affects women. We just don't talk about it a lot. A lot of times we kind of just blame it on, we'll blame it on menopause, or blame it on something else like that. But in a lot of times it really is just the very same midlife crisis. It's just a women's version. See, my cheat sheet. And so we need to actually start talking about why. So I'm going to start off explaining the men's version of it. And then we'll also explain the female's version of it. And then I'll kind of explain why I think society has it set up so that it is so harmful, and why part of the things that we complain about today with people, you can't see if I turn it like that. So part of the things that we complain about people like not feeling like they grow up is kind of a way that the younger generations have started rebelling against the broken parts of society. Because I don't know about you guys, but at least since I was a kid, society has definitely felt a lot more broken than it was when I was a kid. And I think there's tons of reasons for that. I mean, absolutely tons and tons of reasons for that. So one of the things is I think people don't play enough. I think that's one of the fundamental aspects. We get on this concept of work, or supply, or like as a man, you know, you're really thinking that you have to be a good worker, you have to be a good partner, you have to be a good supplier, you have to be a good father, you have to be all of these good things. And while you absolutely should be all of those good things, I want to think, a lot of you guys, when's the last time you did something because you wanted to do? I'm not saying like going to a sporting event or going to the bars. I'm talking about being you, like doing an adventure, doing something that made you, something you like to do as a kid. So examples I can give is like me and my buddy. We like to storm chase, or we like to police watch, or we like to do other things like that. So we had a few toys that we did that kind of stuff with. Or, you know, maybe you're a mechanic and you have that project car that you and your buddy or you and your dad or you and your uncle worked on together. And as we've become more busy in society, it's very easy for men to push that to the side and say, you know what, I'm just going to go work. I'm going to make sure I get plenty of money. I'm going to make sure I save money for the college fund for the kids, make sure I save up some money for the vacation. And don't get me wrong, we live in a society where women are doing the same thing. But right now, we're just going to talk about the men's side of the midlife crisis. And so, you know, men feel this really big pressure to do everything. You know, they're told they need to get the marriage, the mortgage, and the minivan. But when you focus on those 3 M's, what men miss a lot is the me. And there are times that, and I preach this a lot, there are times that for you to be the best version of yourself, you need to take care of the me. You need to take care of yourself. And that doesn't just mean being healthy. It doesn't just mean like, you know, working out. It also means make sure you're mentally stable, you're mentally good. And that can mean giving yourself time to just unwind and relax, to just be you, to not have to worry about any other activities that exist in the world. Find your zen, whatever that can be for you. So like for me, I really like gardening. Not unlike, I'm lucky that gardening happens to be something I'm good at, but it's also something I absolutely enjoy. Siamese cat sitting on top of one of my barns. It's just funny. You guys want to see? I bet you guys want to see. So if you look, okay, we can't quite see, but right there is the Siamese cat sitting on top of the barn. But for some reason, it won't let me. Computer says no. So what we were saying is, you know, gardening, that's one of the things. I also like video games. And what I love about video games is I get to spend time with my nephew. So I play video games with my nephew. And so those are 2 things that I regularly do to make sure I have play in my life. I will say I do need to have more play because we're going to talk about this as we progress on. I think sometimes we get too focused on tasks. We get too focused on work, maybe even too focused on learning. We don't spend enough time in the category of play. And we're going to talk more about that. So guys, when's the last time, I want you guys to think about this, when's the last time you did something for you? Not for your wife, not for your kids, not for your parents, just for you. When's the last time you did something for you? You know, women regularly talk about pampering themselves. They go to the spa, they do those kind of pamperings. But when's the last time you, as a man, have done something to, you know, for just you? Men are very good. We're very good at delaying gratification. Not all of us, but quite a bit of us. Where? Okay. And I'll come get him in a few minutes, Lisa. So, you know, a lot of times we don't do anything for you. And so what I'm saying is, and I'm not saying, you know, go spend a lot of money. I'm not saying go be completely irrational, but that's if you look at what happens with a midlife crisis. A lot of times it's just men taking care of themselves. And what it is they go back to a time that they remember the last time they took care of them. And a lot of times that puts you into your teens or your early 20s. So, and I'm not talking about, you know, some of you are going to say, oh yeah, but what about the people that live in their basement? That's a whole different conversation that we need to have. A whole different conversation, because that's almost a rebellion against the midlife crisis, just like the midlife rules. So we'll have that'll design for a whole nother show. But yeah, I just want you guys to think about it. And if you do think about taking time for you, does it make you feel guilty? Does it make you feel bad? Does it make you feel like less of a person? Because the truth is it shouldn't. And I'm not saying go out and do it every single day, but you know, it's important to have you time. It's important to make sure that you can do things so you can be the best version of yourself. I'm gonna put you guys right here for right now because I'm gonna grab the bucket here so I can feed the rabbits, because that's where we're at. We're getting ready to go and feed the rabbits next as we do our chores and our conversations. So, and it could be something like maybe you go hunting with the friends. A lot of folks, the midlife crisis doesn't seem to hit doesn't seem to hit country folk as bad as it hits city folk. And I believe that is because countrymen have their circle of friends, their buddies that they've been friends with most of their life. And they do things on a regular basis. Like they might, during the summer, have the Redneck Yacht Club, or they might go four-wheeling, or they go hunting, or they sit around and go fishing with their dad or their uncle. And I think that as we take away those activities that we used to do with loved ones or with friends, I think that it pushes the midlife crisis more and more. Because if you think about the midlife crisis, it's usually not, somebody that is already enjoying the crap out of their life. It's usually folks that are just overworked and overtaxed and just over crazied. You guys know, most of you guys know that I think that the purpose of work should be betterment of the world, not just to make some dollars. I think that if you're working, you should be doing things to make life easier for everyone, make life better. And a lot of times, the current society we live in, you are just making someone else rich. And you're going to say, yes, Doc, that's nice and easy for you to say, but I need to make money. And I'm not saying to not have money. I'm simply saying that in the society that we live in, we should be doing things. We should be doing things to make the world better, not just some guy richer. And don't get me wrong, I love things about Amazon. I'm not, I was in my early 20s, I was a steel worker. I worked in the factory in Akron, Ohio. So I get a lot of that. I get the working and needing money. This current lifestyle that I currently live, I probably work harder than I have in most jobs and make a lot less money, but my time is purely my own. And so I think for me, that was absolutely a desired trait. So, and going back to the delayed gratification, most of us do it. Most of us have a project that we're working on in a garage or something. We're just like, yeah, we're going to get around to that. But we don't, because somebody else, there's a honey-do list, or there's another bigger project that's going on, or there's something that is really important. And I have an escaped bunny. Here, I'll give you some. Come on, let's go. Come on. Go on, escape bunny. He saw some green, so he needed to escape to eat the green. So I'll have to go pick him some more green in a bit. Anyways, so, just how many times have you put off a project that you really felt was important, that really meant something to you? You have that classic car you wanted to redo, but your just garage is full of all of these projects, or your barn, or just have all these projects, these what ifs, these one days, these I'll get around to it, and when in reality, because you are delaying doing projects because you have to be the stand-up guy, you got to be the most important guy at work, you got to make yourself And I'm not saying miss your kids' adventures. I would say go on all of your kids' adventures. I would say miss doing things at work before. And that's number one, is work less before you do any of the other type things. But, go on your kids' adventures, hang out with your significant other. But on the same aspect, schedule in time for you. Schedule in ways that you're going to make yourself the best version of you as that you can. So when we were kids, we took orders from our family. You have your mother, your father, maybe you're raised by your grandparents or something like that. But you listen to that. And then when you're at school, you listen to the teachers. And then it's pretty interesting. Most men, shortly after we do all that, we immediately go into the workforce. And then in the workforce, all we're doing in the workforce is the very same thing. We're just taking instructions from somebody else. So as someone who is absolutely horrible at taking instructions from other people, that is not a skill that I have. That's why I was never good at working the 9 to 5. I was not a good wagey. I like to say no. I like to say I'm not coming into work today because I don't feel good. And there's a lot of stuff that that's just me, my personality. I will do without instead of let someone control me in those particular ways. But I knew this at a young age. And so I knew how to adapt. I knew how to have to try to adapt my lifestyle to that. But then I want you to also think most of the men actually we didn't even say probably most of the women too, most of the men most of the women, they left the schools and they started a family. And they didn't spend a lot of time with self. And women, it's even a little bit more difficult because you have your friend circles, and a lot of times your friend circles dictate things that you do. And not all women, I know this is a generalization, but your friend circles dictate, what you do as well. So you kind of listen to instructions of your friend circles. And when was the last time you've just had to worry about self and you've just, focused on you? And I know some of you are thinking right now, my God, this sounds extremely selfish. Like, I've got all these responsibilities. Why would I work on self when I have all these additional responsibilities? And what I'm trying to point out is, if you don't, it's all going to come to a head at some particular point, and life's going to get really complicated. And that's where the midlife crisis comes from. And even if you do even if you do everything right, there's still going to be your hormone changes in your body are still going to mean that there's going to be issues that you're going to have to think about, deal with. We talk about this with women, menopause. We talk about this with teenagers being rebellious. We talk about this with 2 and 3-year-olds with their horrible 2s and horrible 3s. We talk about this with old people when it comes to sundowners. But what we don't talk about it is when you're in the middle age, your 30s, 40s, and 50s. We don't talk about it then. And we don't talk about how there's all these things that are going to be different. So, most of your life, especially if you're like me or you grew up in a household that taught you to work hard and to be a good citizen, to be a good everything, is they extracted your youth. The movies and everything tells you about all the stuff you do. Our bodies are the most, flexible. We can do the most with our bodies when we're young. Now, we're dumb as hell when we're young, but that's why we're supposed to be going on these fun adventures. We're supposed to learn stuff. Thankfully, as an entrepreneur, I tried and failed lots of businesses throughout the course of my life. I moved here to Southern West Virginia at 25 because I wanted to run a B&B, and I wanted to do it in my younger years because it sounded more fun to do it when I had lots of vibrant energy. And I'm not talking an Airbnb. I'm talking old school B&B where I was a host to cook breakfast for everyone, made their beds, interacted with them, had bottles of wine with folks. That was how it worked, and I loved it. Absolutely loved it. And then I made the decision to want to run a nonprofit, and that's what I do now. So, but most of our youth was extracted. We didn't get to use it. Most of you guys, You know, especially if you guys were suckered into going into the Army, which I almost was. If you're suckered into doing that kind of stuff, then you had all of those responsibilities where they took your youth. You didn't, you didn't get to be young and all that kind of stuff. Now, a lot of times some of you are going to look and yeah, but kids these days. I'm not talking about kids these days. We're not talking about some of the people that still try to keep acting young that we condemn and we think are bad. So, but if you don't figure out how to solve some of the issues that you don't even realize you have, that are going to be sneaking up on you because of all of this. If you don't realize some of that, you're going to start getting cracks in your foundation, and just little cracks. And little cracks are no big deal because you can just patch those over, and you can usually fix most issues with that. But at a particular point, once the cracks hit a really bad stage, then your life crumbles in, and that's where you start. That's where you see these men that make the really crazy decisions, like to leave their family, or to just do absolutely ridiculously silly things. And that's not what I want for you guys or for anyone. I want to make sure that we have conversations about this. We say, first off, it's not a midlife crisis, it's a midlife awakening. You're learning how to fix an issue. This is like a red flag. It's letting you know that there is something going on, and you need to figure out what is that something. So, this chicken right here. Okay. Okay, so we're gonna talk a little bit. We're gonna come over here. I'm gonna see if Lisa, did you get the two bunnies in there or not? Did you get the bunny in there and the bunny in there? So all the bunnies are fed. Okay, cool. Where is that? Oh, okay. So we're gonna break down the solutions, because I like to have solutions to all the world's problems. Where we're gonna talk about this. Let's go walk out to the field. I'm gonna tell Lisa I'll get that. Actually, I'll take the guy on the way. So we had a rooster pass on, and so I was gonna take him on with him in his little adventure. So we have a tree. I might have to build a little shrine for it in the future. But what we do is we give our animals to nature for thankfulness of them not coming and eating everything else. And so, we just put them out here and let nature have what they need to have. Give the nourishment back to the forest, back to the woods, back to the folks that need it. So, just heading out here to this. I usually we do have to give a moment of silence. That is usually what I do. So let's go this way. We sit here and point this way. Okay. And we're going to give a moment of silence for this awesome rooster who done a wonderful job being a great rooster on our farm. I'll let the car pass so we actually can get a real moment of silence while we reflect and think about the energy that the rooster gave us and how awesome it is. And I hope that we share our energy paths again in another adventure. So we'll give a moment of silence starting now. Okay. Thank you, rooster. Thank you for being an awesome rooster and being part of my farm. So we're going to go talk about this last little bit up here. We're going to go sit up here at the just-in-time victory garden and talk about it. because it's just a beautiful day. I do need to get up here probably later today. I'll probably come up here later today. I might even time lapse some of it, or I might just set the camera up and chat with you guys as I'm working up here. I might pop Discord on so you guys can people actually jump in and chat. I can also record it. We will see about that in a little bit. We're going to talk about how to solve. Didn't realize the wind was so, and I don't have my little wind muff. But I think once I sit on the other side of these trees, it'll solve most of the problem. Okay. Oh, you guys want to see what I've been doing? So this is where my corn, this is my swell that I put in here. That's where the corn's gonna go. That grid right there is for the spiral garden. And then over here is where I'm working on putting another swell. Another swell in place. Capture the rain. Put you guys right here. Bring this up just a bit. And we will sit here. So, how do you solve the problem? So, first off, that robin is really loud. First off, you can't solve it by just getting toys. You can't solve it by working hard and waiting to play later. I know some of you are going to be like, Doc, that's what you need to do. That's how you get ahead. And I want to, you hear this thing, the one dies with the most toys wins, or you have all this money in your bank account. And you end up dying in a car accident and you didn't get to enjoy any of it. I'm not saying don't have a savings. I'm not saying don't live just for now, but you find that balance of play and work. So how I've broken this down is how to do this is you need to sleep for 8 hours. So and this is just on average. Some of you can sleep for a little bit less than that, but let's just go for the general purposes to have the healthy, happy body that moves around and lets you do everything that you need to do. You need to sleep for around 8 hours a day. So next you need to play for 4 hours. That varies to a lot of folks. For me, digging a ditch, I love digging ditches. I love working my hands in the soil. This doesn't feel like work to me. This is play. And so you need to play. And play is where you can stop whenever you want. You are enjoyable. You're just enjoying yourself. You're just happy. Maybe it feels like work. But if you just want to say, you know what, I'm done, you just walk away. There's no stress to it. It's just whenever you want to do it. Sometimes some people do. I also volunteer. So I go and do volunteer things. That's a lot of play for me as well. 4 hours of work. Usually 4 hours of work is a way for you to generate a revenue. So I do think that you need to focus on have 4 hours of work, 4 hours a way to generate revenue, 4 hours to do something that is bettering society, doing something that society needs. So that would be like picking up trash if you're a janitor. That would be like, if you work a business, a sales business, things of that sort. Keeping society function, you need to spend 4 hours doing that. So we're at 8 hours of sleep, 4 hours of play, 4 hours of work. Then you need to get somewhere in the vicinity of 2 hours of learning. And that learning can be anything. That can be learning from your kids, learning from your wife. That can be learning from your plants in your garden. That could be getting online, taking a class. That could be reading a book and just expanding your mind. It could be watching a documentary. There's lots of stuff that you can. That bird is so loud. It's cool. I really think that is a mockingbird the way it's talking. Anyway, so that the 2 hours of learning, it's just however you need to learn. It can be learning, and that learning can be incorporated into the play, into the work. Then you need 3 hours of tasks. And these tasks are just things that help you move forward. And they can be a variety of things. So just things like the task can be maintaining your car, maintaining a relationship with your spouse. It can be, preparing meals, getting your body. It could be working out and getting your body in place and stuff like that. And then there's 3 hours of maintenance. And the 3 hours of maintenance is figuring out what you need about yourself. So it could be maybe you need, this isn't tasks or things that you're just doing. These are things that you need to do, like maybe you realize, yeah, I'm pretty weak, or man, I am very unhealthy and I need to figure out how to make myself healthier. So I know tasks and maintenance, a lot of those can be interchangeable, but I think that we need to be focused on that and maintaining maybe, okay, maybe I need to add more work hours this week or this day because I need to maintain a higher balance in my bank account. That can fall into the maintenance. But the idea is the tasks and maintenance, those 6 hours are supposed to be flexible. They're supposed to be able to move around. They're supposed to be based off of what you need and what is needed. Because like, for example, task and maintenance might fall into work for me if it's a day that we just cut hay and I need to bale hay and I need to get the hay out of the field. And that day that the hay's out of the field, I might be in the field for 10 hours. So that's 4 hours. And then those 6 hours of task and maintenance fall into that because that falls into the category of making sure that I get my tasks and my maintenance done. But then the next day, some of that maintenance might be spending time with Lisa to make sure that things are going the way they should go, the things that we're communicating properly, that we aren't lacking in communication. Because sometimes that happens. Me and Lisa's had those issues before where we just realized we weren't communicating properly together. So we had plenty of sleep. I had plenty of play. Work was going well. I was learning, but the last 6 hours I wasn't doing task and maintenance properly. So that's how we balance. That's how we should balance our life. So let's break this down one more time for everyone. 8 hours of sleep. It's what we're going to spend the most hours doing. 8 hours of sleep. The reason is there's so many things that we're learning about sleep. It helps clear your brain. It helps get all that gook out. It repairs your body. One of the best ways to repair your body is to sleep. So if you're sick, you need to sleep. So you need to repair your body. So we do need to make sure sleeping is a priority. I know that sounds very silly to a lot of people, but sleeping is such a priority. Then the next is we're going to break in our 2 4-hour blocks. We need 4 hours of play and 4 hours of work. You need to make sure you always have that 4 hours of play every day. And that play can be anything. Again, we're talking about play is anything you enjoy doing. You're going to get out there and enjoy doing. And if you just want to stop doing it, you can just drop whatever you're doing and you can just stop doing it. So that could be volunteering. That could be doing, boys, big brothers and big sisters. It could be, helping your parents. It could be out mowing or working on this kind of stuff. If you like doing yard work and yard work is play, you enjoy it. But the idea is you just got to remember, you just got to stop. Work is a way to generate revenue or to make the world better. Those are what work is. Work is to benefit society or to financially benefit you. That's what you're going to work at work. So you might be a preacher, and so you might be going outside and preaching the gospel. Maybe you're a scientist and you're in there doing your studies and things of that sort. You could just be a regular McDonald's worker and you're making sure that you're giving the best quality food that you can make there, that kind of stuff. Then we're going to 3 hours of tasks. Tasks are things that need to be done that aren't quite work, aren't quite play. They're just things that need to be done as you focus on those tasks. And we have 3 hours of maintenance. Those are things that need to be carefully maintained. That's your relationship with your family. That might be calling a friend and talking to them for an hour on the phone. That might be checking up on your health. It might be working out. It might be checking up on your parents and making sure that there's nothing at their house that needs to be done. Or, checking your grandparent, or talking to your kids, or working on your car, or working on yourself. That's what maintenance is. And then the last is 2 hours of learning. And that 2 hours of learning is however you learn best, from hands-on to reading to observing to taking classes. So that's the course of your day. And I think that if we balance out our days closer and closer to things like that, it'll be easier and better. You'll be less likely to have the midlife awakening hit you as hard. Our bodies are going to go through hormonal changes. They happen when we were kids. As a child psychologist, as somebody who studied child development. I never actually was a psychologist. As someone who studied child development and understood how the brain function is, as we see, we have the 2 to 3 age group stage, and then we have the 7 to 13. Then you have your teenage group years, and then you have your early 20 years. And each of these you cognitively develop in different ways. But then we have this silly gap. For some reason, we have this gap from 30 to 50 where we don't think a lot of stuff changes, but there's a lot going on in that gap. And then as we get older, we start thinking about life in a different way. So as you go past 50 into your 60s, into your 70s, and then even from your late 70s onto your 90s, there is things you have to actually really be thinking about because you're not cognitively as sharp as you used to be because things are just running a little slower. But we have all of this cognitive thing, and just understand that you're going through different stages. As an adult, imagine like every 7 years you're going to go through a slightly different stage, and things are going to change a little bit. Things might break, things might repair. But understand that our bodies are built to fix itself. And if you put good food in, you put good fuel in, you treat your body, you move it around, you get it the way it was, you can fix a lot of stuff. I've had friends that's cured themselves of cancer by changing their diet and their lifestyle. I've had other friends that go through chemo and it's worked for them. You just need to figure out what is best for you. But the fundamental first off is to make sure that you are being the best version of yourself and you are not allowing society to drag you down. And I'm going to warn you, my friends, it's going to get harder and harder and harder as society becomes tougher and tougher to live in. We are seeing a paradigm shift. And I don't know if it's going to be shifting in a good or bad direction. I know I've shifted my paradigm a few years ago, and I live in the paradigm where I can live on the fringes of society. I like society. I like being in society. I like some of the things that society has to offer, but I don't also mind being on the fringes of it. And so I made this decision years and years ago to be on the fringes, to sacrifice things that I enjoy doing, luxuries that I had. But because I sacrificed those luxuries, I can still live a luxurious lifestyle because I have control. I have time. My time is my own. As I get better at making my own food and controlling the things around me, it's just going to be easier and better. If you guys need help with this kind of stuff, so I am a life coach, a life navigator. I have a Calendary. So get Calendary, I think it's in the description below, .com/xvectorfirefly. I offer 15 minutes free consultation. So if you want to talk about this, you want to see if we're a good fit. If we're not, I can still give you some tips to live a better, awesome, cooler lifestyle. And if you're just looking for someone to talk for 15 minutes, and if you're really just looking to hang out, you can join the Discord, discord.gg/xvectorfirefly. You can jump on there. We talk about this kind of stuff all the time. We talk about farming, gardening, we talk about life in general. So I like to be someone that touches grass and everything together. Why did we go offline and then back online? No idea. No idea OID Live did that, but it's okay. No idea. It didn't even tell me in my ear. So as long as we're back online, that's all that matters. Anyways, right now I'm doing some odd jobs. I'm trying to get enough money to get some bees because that's the one thing I want to get. That's the one big expense I have this year is to get bees. So I'm going to be buying some bees, and like I buy bees every year. This particular year, crypto is kicking my butt, so I don't have the extra crypto to sell for bees right now. But we'll be getting bees, so we'll have a Be Aware series. I also think bees are very important for Zen, for meditation, to raise, and they help you with patience. They help you with like understanding nature structures. They also are really good for your gardens and your environment. So a lot of stuff I want to do. So that's what I'm working on right now. A lot of odd jobs. Hence the reason I threw up my talking about the Calendary and my coaching services. Also, if you live in Southern West Virginia and you need a permaculture consultant, I do permaculture consulting. So anyways, yeah. So I think I'm going to head back to the house. I think I'm going to get some stuff. I'm going to look at the weather. If the weather is suitable, I'm going to get some protein into my body. And then I'm going to probably set up the camera out here. And I will probably just play around. And you guys can watch. I will post up another thing. And I will just do some more swell digging. Anyway, so let's head back to the house. And let me swing the camera around because this is a fun walk back. So we're going to head back to the house. And then I can come up here and work on the garden in a little bit. Sorry, wind is pretty bad right now. I didn't realize that I forgot my little Don't know why. Every once in a while, when I switch over to that, it just says no. Computer says no, and I don't know why. One of the things that I need to actually figure out. So, anyway, guys, if you're following me on anywhere, if you guys could follow me on Rumble, that would be great. X Dr. Firefly on Rumble. I was trying to get this to stream on all the other places right now, but I can't seem to get Beam Stream to work. I'll try it again in the future, but we will see. But if you guys are watching this on Rumble, welcome. Thank you. Join, follow. I'm now on the Rumble's creative program, and so I just need to keep doing stuff and make that fun. If you're following me on DLive or Twitch, it's X Dr. Firefly. If you're following me on YouTube, it's X Dr. Firefly Mavis. And I think that's only places that's streaming right now. I think everything else, like Kick and Party and some of the other obscure ones, I don't think that they weren't working right. Sometimes that happens. I don't know why it happens, but sometimes it happens. So, but yeah, I'm going to go in. So probably about half an hour or so, I will come back. I'll probably jump back on here and stream some more. It'll mostly just me hanging on Discord, playing around in the garden. That way, Discord can come in and you guys, people that want to come in and chit chat, you guys can come in and chit chat and talk. It'll be all around a good time. But yeah, give me about half an hour. Need to get some snacks and get the tools together and look at the weather. If it happens to rain, if it looks like the weather's just going to be horrible, then I won't come back out and do it, because it's not that much fun to do all this in the rain. At least I don't think it's that fun to do it in the rain. And I don't mind, man. A little sprinkling, no big deal, but like heavy rain, just no bueno. Anyways, guys, thanks for going with me today, and I look forward to seeing you guys all in a little bit. So anyways, it's Doc. Till tomorrow. Adios.